So what players were in that row side at that time then?
I linked back up with Reedy. He was back there. Craig Jones, who was at Aber with us as well. You had Greg Stones. You had Neil Roberts, who what an unbelievable player. Oh, unbelievable player. Then you had Kendall in goal. You had the best of the best that were playing in the Welsh Prem. They were all there. And you had Conno, who I become good friends with after that. So yeah, you had the best of the best there, and it was a great side.
And as you said, you went on to win the league, and you played in Europe. You played Partizan Belgrade, if I remember correctly.
yeah, we did. Yeah, that was interesting. So the home game, we lost. I think it was 3-1 at home. And I was playing right wing, and I've got no pace whatsoever. You know, that's the one place I didn't want to play. Anyway, they put me in there. Osian Roberts, old Welsh assistant manager. He was manager, and he put me on the right wing, and he said, "Just get involved and try and get inside and get on the ball." Well, this Partizan Belgrade side were a great side, and the left back, the Arsenal is coming for him, £8 million, and I was thinking, well, I haven't got to hope against this geezer, right? So anyway, I had a couple of touches. I didn't have a bad game. And a 3-1, I thought it was respectable, and we done okay. And the following week, we were away at Partizan Belgrade. So we flown out there, and we got police escorts, and it was mad in the stadium. It was huge, and we get out there to play the game, and in Partizan Belgrade, it's known as one of the hostelest atmospheres you can go to and play. So the tunnel you walk out is all like stone, and there's writing on it. It's like you're going to war. You can hear the ground shaking. You can hear everything going, and you walk out, and all you see is their fans who are absolutely insane. There's flares going off. There's toilet tissue going everywhere. The whole place is shaking. Well, in the space of 30 minutes, I think they're 5-0 up, and we just got absolutely battered. We ended up losing the game. I think it was 8-0, but it was a hell of an experience.
Yeah, what an experience!
That's the quality difference. You had them doing that, and then they beat us and played Arsenal then. And then Arsenal battered them 5-0. So then the difference in quality is a different gravy, it's different level.
Yeah. So after that experience, there was another quick return to Park Avenue. So after having that experience with Real, how did that all come about, and why make the move back to Aberystwyth?
Well, I was still working for Fred at the time, and Fred was. Well, to be fair, Fred was saying, he's always said to me, you've got to do what's best for you. You've got to do what's best for you. Even though he was playing for Aber and I was playing for Real, and he's like, you've got to do what's best for you. So I was humming and hawing of what to do. And Tommy Lewis, Rocket Man, everyone knows him as, Gary Lewis's dad, one of the nicest fellas ever. He'd see me out one night, and Rocket Man used to be in Keynes every Friday and Saturday night. Be in the corner speaking to Fionn. that was his spot. And he's seen me and he's like, oh, can I have a word? Listen, I want you to come back at ABBA. I want to make it happen. And then after the way he was with me, I just knew how much, like, ABBA, not say he didn't love me, but it was my club. So I was like, right, I'm going to go back. It's my club. I'm going to go back. So I went back, and then I spoke to your dad. It was a bit of a hard phone call because the way we left. And within the space of being there another couple of weeks, it was like a hand left. It was like being back home.
Yeah, brilliant. And that side that season went on to finish 4th in the league and just narrowly missed out on Europe again.
We did, yeah, we did. We lost. We missed out on Europe because of Bangor winning the Welsh Cup. So yeah, so that was hard. Again, if you'd have had a striker that year, we would have done a lot better than 4th. We would have been up there. We'd have been pushing, definitely.
And then not long after that, you made a huge decision, and you decided to move to Australia. What was the reasons behind that, and how was that experience for you moving out there?
What happened? I got selected for the Wales under-23 squad, and I made a couple of appearances for Wales. And Reedy again, linked up with Reedy again. He's always in my stories somehow. So we both playing for Wales under-23s, and he mentioned. He said, listen, he goes, I've been offered a contract in Australia. And he goes, they want a midfielder and they want you to come. And I said, oh, I don't know, it's Australia. I'm playing football here. I like it. I'm an ABBA boy. And he said, oh, listen, they're going to pay for us to go out there for the 3 months. We're going to finish the season, see if you like it. So anyway, I said yes. I ended up going. Done the 3 months, absolutely loved it. Fell in love with the football. The football was just all passing. There's thousands of people watching games. Fell in love with the place, Melbourne. So I decided to stay over there for the 4 years.
Wow. So who's the team that you were playing for?
I signed for a team at first called Dandenong Thunder, who were the VPL, so the Victorian Premier League. So it was the highest league in Melbourne. It was highest, well, regarded as the highest league in Australia, apart from the A-League.
Yeah.
So I ended up signing for them. And what it is in Australia, all the clubs are ethnically run. So it's you have the places in Australia which are people who are Albanian, people who are Greek, people who are English, Turkish. That's how it works. And they've all got their own football clubs. So it's one big game to them. So it's like we need to have our ethnic community, the best club in Melbourne, in Australia. So they all literally come out of nowhere and make sure they want the best team. So it's massive. It's absolutely, you can't even explain how big football is to them over there. It's their life. And so I ended up playing for an Albanian team, the first team I went to. And so that's what it was. Yeah, so that's how it ended up.
So how many people were you playing in front of every week then?
Thousands. You could be anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000. In the finals, you have your 10, 15,000. So
it's like playing in front of a League Two crowd in England.
Yeah, exactly. Same. The pitches were brilliant as well. The standard was really high. I think for the years I was there, we trained well. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it was more or less full time. I've never been so fit. I've never played so well. That was the peak of my footballing career, because I didn't do anything but play football, and I absolutely loved it.
So you moved to another team after Dandenong Thunder?
Yeah, so I had an amazing year at Dandenong Thunder. My first year, we missed out on the playoffs, because you go to playoffs and it's like America, and then you go to the grand final.
Yes.
So we missed out on my first year by 1 point. I got injured halfway through the season, and I missed the last 6 or 7 games, apart from the last 3. And my manager at the time said to me, "Can you play up front?" And I was like, "Well, not really." I said, "I'd like to be in midfield." He said, "I had a bad knee. I'd done my muscular, whatever it's called, the outside of your knee. So I couldn't really run." So he said, "Listen, just go up front, just win flick-ons." So for the 3 games, all I'd done was just flip the ball on. And for some reason, every time I shot, I scored. It was just lucky. So the following season, he says, "How about you go up front?" And I was like, "Well, I'll give it a go." And I had an unbelievable season. I ended up top goal scorer, player of the league. Won the treble, first time in 30 years it's been done over there.
Wow, brilliant.
And then I got to move in to another club, so I had a bit of a money move to a bigger club, and so I was fortunate to go to Bentley Greens, who were another massive club, who were a Greek team, and I ended up going there and sort of having a good season again. So
still playing as a striker.
Yeah, still playing as a striker. I got Media Player of the Year this year. We lost the grand final, unfortunately. We lost 3-2 in extra time. But yeah, that was my last season in Australia. I had an amazing season, but family circumstances, my mother got a bit ill. I had to come home because, I just had a baby over there as well, my eldest, Amelia. So me and my partner at the time, Hannah, flew back. My mum was ill. And then I said my goodbyes and said, unfortunately, I couldn't come back because of my mum's situation.
And then when you arrived back, straight back to Aberystwyth Town?
Straight back to Aberystwyth Town. Bit of a change. It was, I think, Alan Morgan. Was Alan Morgan in charge at the time? No, sorry, it wasn't. No, it was Ian Hughes. Sorry, Ian Hughes was in charge. And I remember Ian from before I left, because he was coming in and doing a little bit of coaching at the time. And he was only young, so it was a bit of a shock to me to see him managing, because he was such a young manager, a great manager, but such a young manager. And Wyn Thomas as assistant manager, which is a weird thing for me to see, because I always remember fondly Nark's Corner how much stick Wyn used to get. So for seeing Wyn in an Aberystwyth Town top, it just blew my mind a little bit. But he was brilliant. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He gave everything for that badge, no matter who he played for. What a brilliant player. And any young kid coming through, need to learn off people like Wyn and even Rhys Griffiths and people like that, because the way they put their heart on their sleeves and they give everything for football is how you should be. Yeah.
So when you came back after the 4 years, as you said, that team had moved on a fair bit in that time. So who was in that team that you came back to?
Yeah, it was a massive change. When I first walked in, I thought I was coming to Clecky. It was Stuart Jones, There's Corbs, there was Wyn Thomas, there was Craig Williams, Sean James is still there, Barry James, Barry Morgan was still there. Who else do we have in the team? Mikey Lewis was in goal. So yeah, oh sorry, my batching on a bit there. So yeah, who else was there then at the time? A young boy called Tom Shaw, Venners. So how can I forget Venners? Venners was there. So yeah, there's still loads of locals there, but it had changed quite a bit.
Yeah. And that was quite a successful Aberystwyth Town team that you came back into. And at the end of that season, you reached the Welsh Cup final, playing against TNS at the racecourse ground. And you were the last team to qualify for Europe as part of the old rule, where the runners-up from the Welsh Cup could actually get into the Europa League. So talk us through that day at Wrexham, and then the subsequent European adventure against Derry City.
We should never have lost that game, simple as that. We were 2-0 up with 12 minutes to go or something silly like that. And Peter Hoy was our right back at the time. And Peter Hoy was brilliant for us. He was an old school right back. Not much got past him, to be fair. But I think he got a bit tired because he was a bit older. I don't. He won't mind me saying that. He was a bit older, and he got a bit tired. And they scored 3 goals from that side of the pitch. Like, and it was one of them where they got the first, and it was, oh, hang on a minute. There's 5 minutes left here. Can we hang on? They got a second, and then everyone's heads just dropped. And unfortunately, they got a third, and game over. So we lost that 3-2. But then we got to Europe, as you said, to play Derry City, which again, we went out there, we were buzzing. We couldn't wait for the game. We started really well, and then 10 minutes in, our keeper gets sent off. So they have a penalty. We're down to 10 men, backs up against the wall, away from home, full house in Derry. Thousands of people watching again. They go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and then that was it. Then the boys' heads started going down. We ended up losing that game, and then we lost the game, and it was unfortunate. We come back to Aber, and we have them at home. We're 4-0 down, but we still think we got a chance. Spirits are high. We started again on fire. I remember Venners had a header, and it skimmed the post, and he had another chance. And I thought, hang on a minute, we get one here, we got a chance, and they scored against the one to play, and then they took over the game then, and that was it. And then we ended up losing, but it was a good atmosphere. Park Ave was packed. There was a real buzz about the place, and it was a fond memory of mine. That was, even though we lost that tie, it was a fond memory to play for Aber in Europe as well. I'll never forget it.
Were you, just jumping back, were you part of the European adventure in 2004? Was that when you were at Barry?
No, funny story. I remember getting a phone call from, I was at Barry at the time. I remember getting a phone call, and it's from Tony Bates. And he says, we want you to come over. We want you to sign and play in Europe. I already booked a holiday to Ibiza. And
so you were in Europe already?
No, I didn't go. I already booked my holiday, and I was going with 2 of my friends. And it was either go to Ibiza or play in Europe. And this is the stupid Luke as a kid thinking, nah, I'm going to Ibiza. So I turned it down and went to Ibiza instead.
I never knew that.
True story. Yeah.
And then jumping back to 2015, you had another opportunity to get to Europe, and unfortunately lost the playoff final to Newtown at Park Avenue. That must have been disappointing to get so close again, but unfortunately missed out.
Devastating. We deserved it that year as well. We played brilliant. We played some great football. We had a really good side. That was one year where I really thought that we can break into the top 3 here. I honestly believed that it was going to be the time that we were going to get there. Unfortunately, we didn't. We ended up in the playoffs, and we had Newtown at home. And for some reason, Newtown always seemed to have a bogey team for myself. I don't know why. Never seemed to do well against Newtown. I beat them a few times. I always seemed to be on the losing end. And I had a feeling that day we played well. And we went 1-0 down, 1-1, and they scored to make it 2-1. And I remember, we're going to get on top here. We were on top, and I got injured. My ankle went, a really bad tackle actually after about 60 minutes, and I come off, and I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch the rest of the game. I remember being off the field. I don't think I watched the rest of it. I just knew we were going to lose. I had that gut feeling. I just couldn't watch. and I don't really remember the last 20 minutes because, well, to be honest, I don't think I've seen it. I was devastated.
Yeah, I remember being there myself that day. It was, unfortunate for the club. And then a year after that, that sort of cycle of that Aberystwyth Town team came to an end. I think Matthew Bishop came in as manager, and you were appointed captain. That must have been the pride moment for you.
So Bishop come in. Everyone knows, Matthew Bishop, one of the best coaches around. Not in Wales, but in the UK and in Europe. And Bish come in, and Bish had his own ideas how to play and stuff. And we just had a 3G pitch as well. Mm-hmm. So he had to start from fresh. A lot of players left. He had to start from fresh. He went more local, which was a good thing. But it's not always the best thing, because you're not always going to have 11 local players who are good enough to play. It's just a fact. It just won't happen. He did try. We did have a decent enough team. It just, the results didn't go away for the first few months of the season. It was a hard season, especially personally for me. It was one of the hardest seasons I've ever had in football. 3G or 4G, whatever you want to call it. You won't catch me ever playing on that again. I just couldn't cope with it. I just couldn't turn, and my knees and my ankles were just going all the time.
It's different, isn't it? Much different to grass.
Yeah, I personally, football should be played on grass. Football is a grass sport. That 3G, I don't know. I'm not a massive fan. It has improved football in regards to kids football and youth, and no cancellations, and the ball does spin about on it, and it's nice to pass on. But personally, if that was the best option, then Premier League teams would have a 3G pitch, wouldn't they? But they haven't. So it speaks for itself.
And at the end of that season, I think it was the second to last game, you finished 10th in the league, but it was that game against Rill. I think it was on a Friday night, where it was certain that Aberystwyth Town were avoiding relegation that season. And I have to say, one of my most favourite nights out with Aberystwyth Town was after that match. It seemed like the whole team came out afterwards.
Yeah, we had a few, didn't we? We had a few nights out. Yeah. If we weren't the best footballers in the Welsh Prem, we were definitely the best drinkers. I could probably say that.
I think we could do a whole other interview just about Aberystwyth Town nights out. But while we're on the topic, what's your favourite one? Is there any that stick in your mind?
I have a bus tune that sticks in my mind more than anyone. It was our bus journeys were mental. They were amazing. You were there most of the times. They were brilliant bus journeys. You had even people like Tom White. What a lovely guy. He used to come every away game. And
he's actually just recently got married. Tom has.
No, really.
So congratulations to him from Aberystwyth Town.
Oh, good, fair play. He's a lovely lad. There's there's supporters that people don't even know come to every game. You have people like Di Meredith, who, God rest his soul, he passed away years and years back, and you had Reno Owens and Emma and people like this, and these people make our town. So on our bus journeys and stuff, they were there. They were drinking. The wins, the losses, they were through everything. Even the one I'm on about was Di Caprice. We stopped somewhere for a wee stop, I should say. And and I remember it was a bank. And I remember Di was having a wee, and we were all having a wee. And next you're afraid, where's Di gone? And he's fallen 20 feet down this bank. And all you could see was his feet. And I remember everyone grabbing him and trying to pull him back up. He's covered in scratches and bruises. And that's my fondest memory of a night out ever. And that was a bus journey of Di Caprice falling into the bushes.
Yeah. It's right what you say as well. The bus journey sometimes were the night out, weren't they? They're absolutely brilliant.
They were. We didn't make the night out after the bus journey. 4 hours back on the bus. You had Fred dictating the pace, what we had to drink. He's 6'6". He's built like the Hulk. And you had players like myself and Pat Small and Barry Morgan who were tiny. That was it. That was the end of it for us. And one person I forgot to mention in all the teams, was Jeff Kellaway. And how can I forget Jeff? Jeff was brilliant, but he was one again. He could drink. Him and Fred used to dictate the pace, and it was the end of it for us.
Anyway, we've digressed. So jumping back to that time, I think it was 2017. You took the decision to move on from Aberystwyth Town for the final time, What was behind that move?
I couldn't play on the 3G anymore. That was it done for me. I already knew half Christmas time that I can't keep playing on this, because at the time I was 30, maybe 31, and I just knew that my legs, my ankles, they couldn't cope with this 3G. And I already made the decision months and months before that I was either going to stop playing, or I was going to go and play, the league below on the grass. And I was going to go to Porthmadog, and because I knew they had a lovely pitch, and Pap's the manager was a great guy, and I loved the way he played football. So I thought, all right, I'll go there. And I had a phone call from Graham Evans. Yeah, brilliant. I had a phone call from Graham Evans, and I played with Graham at Aber, and he just said, come on, give it a go. We got a side here. It's a young side. There's local boys. I'd like you to come. I'm not saying we're going to challenge for anything. We'll come and see what you like, see what you think, and give it a go with us. And then in my head, I was thinking, I want to still try and play up there for Porthmadog. But then in the back of my head, someone was telling me to go to Carsouche. It was closer to my house. It was only 40 minutes away. And, I'm fond of Graham Evans. He's a great guy. And I couldn't turn it down then. And to be honest, I probably felt guilty if I said no to him. So I just said yes. So yeah,
So that was, as I said, around 2017. So what have you been up to since, and what clubs have you been at since you left Carsouche?
I left Carsouche with about 10 games to go in the season. I said, I was on decent money. And to be, they weren't winning many games. I had young players. And I said to Graham at the time, I said, mate, I think it's best, just keep that, what I was getting, build it for next year. And to be fair, he said, yeah, no, that's brilliant. And I left. And then, so 10 games to go, I said, I'm retiring. But I had a phone call from Gary Lewis. And there's the one person I always wanted to play for. And I'd made my mind. I said, I'm retiring. I'm not playing ever again. And Gary Lewis would phone me. And again, that was it. As soon as he phoned me, Gary Lew, Big G, come on, boy, come on. And that was it. I was there. I was at Penryn. So I signed for Penryn and played for Penryn for nearly the season. I was on and off because I was living in Birmingham at the time. So I was on and off. And I played for Gary there. And I'm not going to lie, I absolutely loved it. I loved it. Very similar to your dad. He was a man manager. He gets the best out of players. The coaching manual is there for the coaches. You do read off it, but everyone knows in football that coaching manual, it's something you just need for your badges. You can get it out of a Christmas cracker. I mean, a man manager, you play for a man manager, and that's what it's about. And he was one of them. So yeah, I couldn't turn it down. So I stayed with him for a year. Yeah, fantastic. It was brilliant.
And are you still playing at the moment, or
no, have you hung up the boots? No, I'm not playing now. Obviously with the lockdown and things. But I've had a message off Garrett Passmore. He's assistant manager at Newport City now. So you've been nagging me to go there.
Yeah, so we could see the two of you reunited in central midfield.
To be fair, it's the fittest I've ever been. I run non-stop. I'm in the gym quite a lot. So brilliant. I think it's the fittest I've been in about 10 years. So
it's got to happen then, isn't it? It's got to happen.
I might give it one more crack.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know if you're doing. We'll all come down and support you. Or who knows? It's definitely going to happen. If you and Geraint are playing there together, you definitely draw an Aberystwyth Town in the Welsh Cup next season. That's definitely going to happen, isn't it?
It is. It's going to happen.
Sherbs, listen, thanks very much for your time this evening. It's been absolutely brilliant. Really, really enjoyed it. I just want to end now with a few quick fire questions that we sent through to you earlier. So we'll start off with the best player that you played with at Aberystwyth Town.
There was a couple. It was hard. This one was. Christian Edwards will always be in my memory as one of the best, just because he's done it all. But the best player I've ever played with at Aber, it would be Stuart Roberts. The guy was a machine. He did not want to lose. He hated losing. Even in training, he hated losing. And the vibes you got off him, he'd make you be the same. And not just because of his ability, because he was amazing, but his aura. So for me, Stuart Roberts was the one for me. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Good choice. Who was the worst trainer at the club?
The worst without me, I'm probably the worst because I never used to train. But with me aside, the worst trainer, and it has to be this geezer, because if he was on your side in a five-a-side, you didn't want to even play. Andy Evans, because
That's two votes for Andy now.
It has to be Andy. I think Andy would vote for himself. So, like, Andy was was brilliant for Aber over the years. He scored some goals. He had a massive move to Barnsley. He was a brilliant guy.
So many last-minute winners when he came back from Barnsley as well.
So many. But he'd probably admit himself, he is the worst trainer ever. He's probably got the worst touch I've ever seen as well. So I hope he sees this.
So what's overall? What's your best Aberystwyth Town memory?
My best memory, it would have to be the Everton goal. It has to be.
Brilliant. And on the flip side, what's your worst?
My worst, this will always stay with me. The day that we didn't make Europe, we finished 4th, and we had to rely on Bangor to lose the Welsh Cup final. And we were all in Blackpool on our end of season trip, and we watched the game in a pub, and Port Talbot come back to 2-2, and we were bouncing, running around, and Bangor scored. And I remember my whole body everything just coming out of me. I remember just feeling sick, and like I've never felt like that before, and it was just because of a football game. And that was my worst memory. And I felt gutted after that, and that's the worst I've ever felt. And I wasn't even playing. So that's
ruined the whole trip, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So sum up your time with Aber in 3 words.
This has been hard. Yeah, it's hard to put it in 3 words, but amazing. Definitely amazing. Obviously, the biggest thing with it is my home. So home, it's my home club. Aber is my home club, and there's always been a massive part of me that loves that club and the people in it. And thirdly, the last one was the people, the fans, the people who passed away over the years, the supporters, the directors, the players I've played with. They've all been amazing. I haven't got a bad word to say about anyone in the whole club. It's Brilliant. Such a special place.
Brilliant. And finally, can you give us your all-time Aberystwyth Town 5-a-side team from players that you've played with?
Okay, well, I've done it. All the local players I couldn't put in because I played with so many good players, and the local boys, they're all my mates still. We used to play 5-a-side. It was the locals versus the boys away. So it's not fair to pick any one of the locals. So I've gone for my 5 who are away from locals. Okay, so
that's good.
I've gone for Stephen Cannon goal. Yeah, brilliant goalkeeper. Your dad brought him in, and when he brought him in, everyone was like, "How the heck did he get him to the club?" He was unreal. So Stephen Cannon goal.
I remember.
Yeah, massive coup. I don't know how he done it, but for them years, Canny was the Aber keeper. He was the best in the league by far, by far. So I had Canny in goal. Obviously Swanee, Christian Edwards, centre back. I can't say any more than what I've said about him. He's unbelievable. In front of him, then I'd had Stuart Roberts. he was brilliant again. Like I said, never lose. He wanted to win all the time. It was not about money or nothing for Stuart Roberts. Like everyone should say, oh, he's on this, he's on that. You have locals always come up to you saying, Stuart Roberts on this much money. He could have been on 10 pence a game. It wouldn't have changed if he was on that, or if he was on £10 million. He was always 100%. So him definitely. I'd have Passmore then in there, just because Passmore was brilliant. Gez Passmore, he had a couple of injuries, the times I played with him. But him as a player, if you'd have stayed fit, Passmore could have gone higher. He just was very unlucky.
Look at that Bangor goal. We discussed it at length last night, but that goal away to Bangor City that he scored was absolutely unbelievable.
Passmore played first 3 games of the season, and I remember saying to my stepdad at the time, I remember saying to him, there's a lad who's playing for us who's come from the uni. I said, I honestly think he's going to make it as a professional. He was unbelievable. Yeah. His touch was unbelievable. He could turn on a sixpence and he could score. And I used to think he was my age. I used to think this kid's unbelievable. Unfortunately, with Gez, he's got a few injuries. But yeah, he'd be in there for me. And then the striker would be Reedy for me, just because he'll score goals all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Sherbs, that brings us to the end. And listen, thanks very much for giving up your time this evening. Really, really enjoyed it. And I know there'll be a lot of people in Aberystwyth and beyond who really enjoy listening to the interview as well. So glad to hear that you're doing so well. And actually, before we go, are you still keeping in touch with Aberystwyth Town and the results?
Yeah, all the time. Aber, all the time. I don't know if you see on Twitter, Johnny Evs, You know, when he scores, I'm the first one putting something up on it. Steph scored the other day. I'm the first one putting stuff up.
Yeah.
John Flino scored the other day. You know, he's 94 years of age now, and he scored in the Welsh Prem. You know, so for me, I absolutely love seeing this. The local boys on there, and what Gav's doing at the moment is absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely.
I just hope now that, you know, the league carries on with the lockdown. You know, I know it's not. You know, I hope the government gives something to the Welsh Prem teams to keep them going, you know, financially. And if that can happen and it doesn't affect the club with losses in money and things, I hope this season can continue, because I got a feeling that Aber are going to shock quite a few teams this year, and they're going to, they're going to be there or thereabouts. Definitely, hopefully, you know, top 6, but they're going to shock a few sides. So yeah, I always keep an eye on the scores of the Aber games.
Brilliant. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you at Park Avenue, hopefully sometime before the end of the season, Sherbs.
You will, mate. You will.
Thanks again. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Cheers.
It's been brilliant. Cheers, guys. Cheers, mate. Cheers, Paul.